Go. All right, so we're gonna start this thing. Hey, what's up, man? It is the Ace Michael Show. Ace Michael's on the dial with you. Happy to be here, happy to be anywhere, happy to be everywhere on your dial. If you ever want to be on the show, listen, you can. All you have to do is send us a message and just say, hey, I want to be on your show, man. And then we can get you on the show. And that's what's up. It's the best way to voice your ideas, opinions, convictions, suggestions, beliefs, you name it. We do it. And that's what's up on the Ace Michael Show. Today, my guest is Tyler. Tyler.
Hey.
Ace
Hey,
Michael.
hey.
Oh.
Hey. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So before I get into my piece of it, tell us your story. Where are you from? What's it all about? What are you doing? What are you up to? What up?
Ooh, why why is that such a challenging question? So many moving parts. Well, basically, without sounding corny, I'm kind of from Houston, Atlanta, Vegas, meaning born in Houston. My childhood was in Atlanta, like a decade or over, a little over. And then I went to high school in Vegas. So Vegas is kind of like my stopping ground right now. Currently, I'm located in Texas, Austin, Texas, right now. My story, ooh, I'll just keep it short and simple, I guess. I don't know, started modeling, got into modeling late. I'm kind of old to be a model, low key. Started at the age of 25. Doing it for a couple years now and still going strong. And honestly, my career took off when I moved to Austin, Texas. Did not see that coming, but I don't question God and his blessings that he hands me. So there you go. Oh, I also work as a mental health therapist as well.
Oh,
So
nice. I need you. What do you, why do you feel like you started late in modeling? Why do you say late?
well, I use the term late just because, to my understanding, with different people in the industry, they've expressed that I did jump into the game late. There's not a bunch of models in my age range. A lot of the times I'm walking on the runway with girls who are 15, 16 that didn't even hit their grown woman bodies yet. So, at least when it comes to the industry, a lot of girls are men too. They do join the industry at a younger age. So I say I joined the game late because I
So
waited.
why do you think why does the industry want girls at a younger age? Like why 15 seems like very impressionable. You
Yeah.
have you haven't figured out even who you are yet, much less I'm walking on the runway for Giovanni Versace. You know what I'm saying?
hmm Um, it's a good point that you mentioned impressionable. That's a whole different story. I think the reason why they go for younger girls at that age is solely for the look, right? When I mentioned they don't hit their grown woman body yet, it's because they're at sample size, and sample size is a 2 to 4. And why is that size? Is because you have a figure, I guess, at that size. It doesn't distort or distract your attention away from the clothing, so it makes it easier. A lot of times, girls that age are usually those sizes, and they don't have frames or figures that would distort or take away from the clothing. Also, just the fresh, doughy skin, the physique that usually comes along with a younger person tends to be what they look for. But they are also impressionable, and fashion can be very impressionable, art
Mm-hmm.
in general. Yeah.
Now, in Vegas, which is where we have a studio in Vegas and we also have a studio in Los Angeles. But in Vegas,
hmm
there is a thing, a trend more towards older models here in Vegas. Like a lot of the models that I've seen are even in their late 30s and 40s, or they claim to be in their 40s. They probably might even be in their 50s, some of these models. But Vegas is definitely a different market than
Oh, yeah.
probably Houston is probably more of a catalog market. Los Angeles, of course, is
hmm
a different market than Vegas. But I always
hmm
interesting. That's why I asked the question because I always thought, why are these models and actresses always picked younger? Even I work mostly with music artists, so in the
hmm
business, it's always that way too. They say, well, 22 is kind of old to be getting a record deal. We want somebody who's 18,
Yeah.
19. And it's like, well, that's only a
But that's
couple.
because you can mold them. You can shape them and fit into the mold that you want them to be, especially when they're at that age.
Let
You
me
know.
let me just say this to the people that are watching. just from my experience, and just so you know, if you think you can shape and mold a teenage person into doing anything they don't want to do, that is insanity. Just saying.
Good luck. Good luck. We all thought we was grown when we was teenagers and we knew better.
Yeah.
So
Trying to reel in a teenager, that seems like a whole lot more work than getting somebody who's already got a little bit established. But I know that in the music business, they say, well, if we take an artist on, we're expecting this artist to go on tours. We want this artist to be in
mhm.
the studio all the time. They can't do that in
Mhm.
late 20s. Maybe they already have a family going on. They already have commitments. There's already,
Right.
going to be that still silent voice from the boyfriend or the husband in the background. He's like, "What are you doing?
Mhm.
Where are you going?
Right,
Why are
right.
you coming back?
Right.
What do you work? Ain't nobody said you could go nowhere. Make me some chicken with some beans, okay?" Anyway, that's what
Right.
they. All right, so tell me more of your story. So now you're also an actress, director.
Yeah, I actually started off in dancing and then became a thespian, meaning I did a lot of stage plays growing up, like as a kid, high school and whatnot. And I never actually thought I would do it seriously as an adult. Honestly, I didn't even think I would be a model. I didn't see myself as that or anything like it. Honestly, it was just my own insecurities. And that's why, to kind of go back to your original question, why it took me so long to start was because I just didn't think it was for me, so I didn't attempt. And I was just kind of holding myself back, really. So when I decided to take that leap of faith and just try it, it worked out. But yeah, I did some acting. I actually got my first like Sag commercial since
Mhm.
moving to Austin, and that was not something I expected either. Like that's honestly how I got my first apartment here
Oh, really? So you
was through
made
that.
that much?
Yeah.
You did pretty well for yourself.
I guess so. It was God, promise you, because like I didn't expect any of this. Like
Well,
when I went to the
it's always
casting,
God. Let's get that, guys. It's always God. Okay, so we
right?
do know that. Okay,
Basically,
so you did well. So you got paid, and you did enough money to get your own place, which is a
hmm
milestone.
right.
It's interesting. It's hard to get your own place, but once you do get your own place, then it's hard to stay in your own place. You know what I'm saying? Like now you
It's a
got,
motivating
I
factor,
got to
you
make the
know.
rent. Oh, good lord.
You got to keep it going because once you get your own space, especially if you like your own space, and I love my space, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it's a driving force. Like I got to keep getting bookings, I got to keep getting patients, I got to get this money, like so I can afford a certain lifestyle that I've become accustomed to. So
Yeah.
it's a motivator for sure.
Wow. So congratulations for that. You've reached a
Thank
milestone that
you.
some people never reach in their whole career. Some people, they're going after this for decades and they don't achieve that point. I mean, I've got a good friend who's an actor. She's in a couple of films that are
Yeah.
featured, that are coming out, and she's still not making the kind of money. She's still working during the day doing something completely different that she doesn't love.
hmm
But she's an
Right.
actress and she's happy, because she gets to do these movies. Maybe she does like 2 movies a year. And
Right. Are they like indie films or like local projects? Or are they like
no,
films that are
I mean, one of her movies, she just came out. Tom Sizemore was a co-star. What's his name? William Baldwin, I think, was the Baldwin brother that was a co-star.
Oh wow,
I mean,
okay.
she's getting good. She's getting good work, but
hmm
it's a hustle, and she goes to auditions all the time. She
It
gets
is a
turned down
hustle.
a lot, but she's used to it.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Yeah. You never lied. Hustle is like the main thing. I think a lot of people, because people will hit me up because, from high school or like undergrad or whatever, and they're like, they see me modeling, I guess. And they're like, oh, can you put me on? What do you do? Point me in a direction. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, people always want to be put on because it's easy, just place me where I need to be. But it don't work like that. I'm still hustling to this day. I'm not in a predicament to where I can just get you booked, get you casted, whatever. And I think people forget it is a hustle. You got to educate yourself, break out your comfort zone, talk to people you may not necessarily want to talk to. You got to gather information and really push yourself,
Right.
and get out there and take initiative versus, oh, put me on. Because if I put you on and send you to a casting, you don't know what you're doing, that's going to make me look bad.
That's right.
So I think people don't understand that.
That's right. Let's talk
Gotta
end
come
game
correct.
goals. So,
End
what is
game.
the legacy that you'd like to leave with your entertainment career?
Why are all these questions hard? I think it's 'cause I never think about this. Honestly, I'm the kind of person that wings it, kinda, and I constantly surprise myself, so I'll just try things. Now, as far as the end game, before you asked me that question, I was thinking I'm just gonna keep trying whatever, pushing whatever, and see where I land and see how long I can do this. I mean, I don't look my age, black don't crack, thank God, but
Black
if the
actually
trends
does
change,
crack eventually, just so
if
you
you
know.
own
Yeah, black.
crack,
Yeah, black doesn't stay resilient forever. There is a point where black will crack, but you're nowhere near
right,
that
right.
now. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have some good genetics. I'll say that. I thank my mom for those genes. But no, you're right. It does eventually crack. I just know I got a long time coming before anything gets to cracking, um, in that way. But in game, honestly, my end game would be. Ooh, I feel like I'm just now considering this. How do I word this? I don't want to be like a mogul or anything or like an icon. I don't want to
Mm.
do that, but I do want to be um, a representation for a lot of other girls that look like me that also had those same kind of thoughts that I did when I was growing up, thinking that you weren't a staple of beauty or you wouldn't be considered to do certain things or thought you just couldn't because you didn't fit a mold. Um, that was preferred. And I would like to be a symbol of that, right? A symbol of something different. And you can not be what is preferred and still make a way, make a lane for yourself. So I think my end game would be to be prominent enough to where people can start to see my face more often and then challenge those kind of thoughts, if that makes sense. I hope I said that in a way that makes
But
sense.
no, it totally makes sense. Now, one thing that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me is that you said you don't want to be an icon. Why don't you want to be an icon?
Oh, that's a whole other conversation. I just feel like what becomes associated and the responsibilities and pressures that's placed on you as an icon, especially when we talk about different industries and having to not just answer for yourself, but answer for all these other political things, and push a certain agenda. I don't want to have to be in that predicament. I would want to do solely things that I'm passionate about and put forth an agenda that I agree with versus being in situations to where there's this conflict. I never wanted to be somebody where everybody's always looking at me all the time, but I do want to set an example or create new spaces for individuals I feel like they couldn't be in those spaces. So instead of being like the face of something, I want to be the person behind all that. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? That you're not fully aware of.
So let me ask you this before we run out of time, because it's more than just a trend at this point. It's turned into an actual habit or a go-to where we see a lot more women taking roles that used to be male roles, the superhero
Yeah.
genre especially. We see a lot
Yeah.
of race swapping of roles, like they say, "Oh, we're going to remake Batman and Robin. We're going to make Robin be a black Robin or a female
Yeah.
or Batman be
Yeah.
gay." What are your
Hmm.
thoughts on that as an actor? What do you think about that?
um I don't have an issue with the race swapping, and maybe I'm a little biased. I'm gonna say why. I don't have an issue with it because I think it's helpful to be able to create depictions of characters and see them in a different lights where other people can feel like they can identify, especially if they're used to a media that's predominantly white. Now, if they have historically like black characters or like they're trying to depict history and these people are originally black and there are like white faces playing them, well, yes, for obvious reasons, I disagree. But as far as like creating a different perspective so everybody can feel, included, I don't have an issue with. Now, with pushing the whole like gay agenda, I don't have anything against the LGBTQIA 2+ community and whatever other letter that I may have forgotten. I apologize. But I feel like when they're forcing certain images all the time, it does make me wonder, well, what is your motive behind it? Um, every once in a while, that's cool. I don't really care. I'm not pressed. However, I do feel like when I turn on the TV now or like look into a
Mhm.
podcast or get on the radio, it does seem like, in my experience and others that I talked to about it, it's a lot of talk about this identity through your sexual preference. And I believe
Right.
sexual preference and identity are two completely separate things. And I think it's a lot of confusion when people take a sexual preference and make it, oh, this is everything that I am. And you have to see this. And if you don't want to be a part of this, then you're anti this. And that's not true. People can have different beliefs, different understandings, cultures, and coexist happily. It's just about respect, really, instead of trying to force a lot of things down other people's throats.
Yeah, and I,
A
I
lot, a lot of
personally,
people disagree.
I personally believe that race does need to be better represented in film. It should have been better represented from day one. But I have a
Hmm.
caveat on that, which is, race only makes sense in the sense that it makes sense. Like, don't try to remake Sherlock Holmes with a black Sherlock Holmes,
Yeah,
because
it's
during
reaching.
yeah, during that time, it wouldn't have made any sense for some black guy to be running around with this little eyepiece and
Hmm.
saying he's going to solve missions, like they've been talking about making James Bond black for years. If he's a spy, how's he going to be a
Hmm.
spy when he's the only black guy running around London?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh,
He
there goes
not gonna
James
blend
Bond
in.
running. So I don't agree with that part of it. Now, where it comes to the sexual orientation, I think that's nobody's business unless you have a story that
Hmm.
really revolves around two lesbians' love affair. I don't think that we need to know what these characters do in their bedroom any more than we need to
Right.
know in real life. Like, I don't need to know if the people I work with are gay or straight or whatever, because I don't have
Right.
anything to do with that. If they're an intern in my studio, they come in, they intern, they do their job. It doesn't matter to me if they're white or black or Latin or Native American or indigenous or handicapped. None of that matters to me if they can do their job. But I definitely
Hmm.
don't need them coming to me and saying, well, since I'm gay, okay, well, since I'm straight, like, I don't see how that ties.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. And that's why I mentioned sexual preference versus identity. I don't really need to know, who you lay with. It's perfectly fine. However, not from everybody in the community, but even like when I go into the office or like go on set or like just come across people in life, it does
Mhm.
seem like I have like a flag thrown in my face, or like they're very quick to mention, oh,
Yeah,
their
yeah,
sexual preference as identity. It's like, that's cool. I didn't
right.
ask, but like,
Nobody's business.
that's
And
cool.
and the thing is,
Yeah.
here's the thing: if you're going to make that be everybody's business, then you have to go down and dirty. You have to start letting people admit that they're into child pornography or pedophilia. You know what I mean? If you're going to start talking
Mhm.
about people's sexual preferences and making that be
Mhm.
an identifier, then you got to go,
Mhm.
okay, well, who are the people in the room that like to get spanked on the bottom? Let's have those people on the left side. Let's have the
Yeah.
people on the right side that like a little bondage
Right.
play. Cosplay people? Anybody?
Yeah,
Cosplay
yeah,
people?
yeah. The
Okay,
dom people, the fuzzies in
yeah,
the
now we got to get
building.
into, yeah. And I don't think that has a place. Now, speaking of that though, do you feel ever put upon to do a job based on too much sexuality? Do you ever get a job offer that you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
I'm not really
All the
comfortable doing
time.
that?
All the time, especially in the fashion industry when you think about it.
Hmm.
If you look into it, I hate trying to say things where it comes off like a stereotype, but let's just be raw. Like a lot of the designers I've walked for have been gay men. And if you pay attention to high fashion, a lot of the trends moving forward are gender neutral. You see men and women wearing the same thing. And even this most recent season of Fashion Week, I've seen a lot of men that were considered transgendered or transgendered women, if I said that correctly, forgive me if I did not, that were walking the runway. And it was once again that whole narrative agenda of like, you're going to see me and my sexual preference a lot on the runway. So even with that, I have been asked to portray as if I am in a lesbian relationship or to
Mhm.
present to be more androgynous, because that's what's trending and in fashion, because fashion likes to push boundaries and what's considered societal norms and take the abnormal or bizarre or queer or odd and make it bigger than life and try to present it as this is the norm
Absolutely.
in our fashion community kind of thing. So yeah, all the time. All the time.
So I'm going to take this in a slightly different direction. It's kind of the same line of questioning, but I'm just curious. So Will Smith, the famous slapper, huh, Will Smith has a
Totally.
movie called Emancipation where he plays a slave,
I
and
know you're
I
talking
didn't want to
about.
watch it for a long time because I'm a black man. I
Right.
don't really need to see slave movies to prove anything to me, unless it was
Mhm.
doing something with the slave genre that I've never seen, like maybe slaves on in space or something. But so I watched it anyway
Okay.
because I'm a fan of Will Smith and I wanted to see what he
Right.
would bring to the role. But my question for you is, would you ever play a role of a slave?
Honestly, I played a role of a slave when I used to do stage plays. Um, you know, I would. I played a slave when I played in one of my homeboys' music videos, and I would do it again. There's been a lot of talk about, controversy and taking on those roles. However, I wouldn't have an issue, especially if it's depicting a part of our history. Now, do I solely want to do like slave movies and only depict that part of Black history? No, because we're so much more than the oppression that was caused towards us. I
Mhm.
want to depict all aspects of history. Um, so I'm definitely not gonna get typecasted as slave, but I would be open to playing it if the role is if it fits my values. Then yeah, for sure. I didn't watch his movie. I try to avoid slave movies. I love to support Black actors, Black directors, anything Black I want to support because I'm Black.
Right,
However, I've been avoiding slave movies as I become an adult because it impacts me differently as an adult than it did when I was a child.
right.
Like, so my parents growing up in Atlanta, very pro Black. Like my mom introduced me to Black art. She used to host art shows all the time with nothing but Black art. They would take me to museums. I learned a lot about the history. Like my parents would make us do like little Black reports or Black history reports and talk about it. Like we're very pro Black.
Mhm.
And they had me watch like Alex Haley, The Roots, Color Purple, all that. So I'm pretty aware of like my history, our history. However, today as an adult watching a slave movie, I would avoid it because the difference between now than how I felt as a child, it's I've been exposed to a little bit more, I guess, of some oppressions that have been hidden or a lot of microaggressions, especially like in the workplace or on set.
Mhm.
And I think I have a better understanding of how Black people have been impacted and continue to be impacted
Yeah.
in the world today, not just here in America, but just the whole idea of even looking Black or having anything to do with being associated with a Black aesthetic. It bothers me a little bit more. There's a little bit more of a passionate disdain
Yeah.
for certain things I just don't tolerate. But as a kid, I didn't have these experiences or think about it that way. But now as an adult, and I'm truly seeing it for what it is,
Mhm.
watching these slave movies, if I have to go on set the next day, or I'm the only Black person, if I walk into the office and I have like a white patient, giving me her white tears, I'm not gonna handle it well because I just watched my people get whooped and beaten and raped, and I gotta come and look at you. You look just like that person that was on the screen. I'm gonna have a lot of counter transference. So I avoid it just to keep me sane and keep me peaceful because not every white person is racist. That's not true. I met some beautiful white people, Caucasian people that have beautiful spirits and are very supportive, supportive. So I don't want to watch that and get angry. And now all of a sudden I'm the angry Black woman. Like I just avoid it. Keep the peace.
Yeah, and movies have a way of sticking with a stereotype all the way through. Like, for
Oh
example,
yeah.
I've been watching lately, I got onto this James Bond marathon. I don't know why, but well, I do know why. So I saw the James Bond marathon advertised, and then I realized that
Hmm.
I've never watched all James Bond movies from start to finish. I just
I
never did.
haven't either.
So I figured, why not? So I started watching this James Bond marathon, and one of the things I noticed is like in the 50s, James Bond, there were female characters that they would introduce, like, James, this is Ilsa, she's a nuclear physicist. And Ilsa literally is only going to have about 3 lines in the whole movie. Help me, James.
Hmm.
James, don't leave me. Right. And then that's it. That's
Hmm.
all we get to know about her as a nuclear physicist, this most intelligent, smart person
Yeah.
next to James Bond is just a bumbling idiot. James knows everything. Now that's the 50s.
Hmm.
Now we fast forward to 2023, and it seems that Hollywood is going in the complete opposite direction. Now you have a female character who's introduced as someone's little sister, but in her basement, she's actually working on the same magic nuclear bullshit
Mhm.
program that the
Mhm.
actual real scientists can't figure out. But she figured out how to make that same thing in her bedroom using tools from her house. And she's a genius. She's beyond a genius,
Mhm.
you know, and she can beat up guys twice her size. She can run as fast as Superman if she wants to, or she can
Mhm.
outrun the Flash. So, what do you think about that? Like, we literally have gone from this is over here to now the needle is way over here, where, you
Mhm.
know, Ray from Star Wars can be a Jedi Knight. She never had to do any training. Just give her a lightsaber.
Right.
She's good. She's as good as any of the best Jedi Knights ever
She
without
woke up like that looking at us.
yeah, she's just a badass. She grew up on a desert
Basically.
island, but she knows how to pilot a boat if she needs to. She can pilot
Yeah.
not just any fighter plane, but the Millennium Falcon, which is only Han Solo's ship, but she can fly it. So anyway, so
Yeah.
what do you think of that kind of swap that's been going on?
Two things, three things. The math is not mathing. Second, there's holes in the script, which you gave a lot of examples for, obviously. And then the last thing, I think why that's happening is once again, this whole agenda. I blame feminism. I'm not completely against feminism, but I'm not a feminist by any means. And what I mean is, I'm not going to say that men and women are the same. And it kind of goes back to when you mentioned how there's switching roles with like races or sexual preference and things like that. Um, yeah, it doesn't make sense for all of a sudden now this female version of our protagonist, right? That's usually male, and they're giving it to female spaces. They all of a sudden have all these skills and assets, and I just feel like that is unrealistic. But once again, it's a movie and it's a story, so I guess it's not supposed to be terribly realistic. I think in some aspects it is cool. I will say I liked Wakanda Forever how it gave the little sister more of a shine. However, I did notice it seemed like she was more androgynous a little bit. Now I couldn't tell if her and Namor was supposed to be love interest or they was like homies, like bros, like you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So they used to create the love interest, and I feel like they've been kind of downplaying the love interest unless it's same sex. So I feel like they did make her more androgynous versus just making her, I don't know, typical woman, I guess. And I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of backlash because it's gonna be this whole talk about, oh, gender is not real and blah blah. But clearly, I disagree. I have more traditional beliefs.
Right.
So I would say I don't have a popular opinion these days when it comes to a lot of trends and beliefs that and genders that are being pushed. So, but I did notice that they kind of made her a little different, even though they gave her a spotlight to showcase the skills of women. Because I do
Mhm.
think that women can be brilliant and we're obviously capable. I mean, there's plenty of examples around us, but why do we have to become more rigid or not be attracted to men, be attracted to women solely, or more androgynous if we're in those spaces? Why can't we be a soft woman and still be educated and still be a leader and
Right.
all that? Can it not be done?
Well, and here's the thing
Is that what
too.
they're saying?
Before we run out of time, let me say this. Movies work like this. You see two characters, male or female, male, male. You see two characters meet, maybe in a
Mm-hmm.
bar, maybe at work, but you always have to see the two characters meet. The next thing that you see, so that you know these two characters are interested in each other, is some type of sexual interaction. They meet at a bar.
Right.
The next scene, they're in the bed together having wild, passionate sex.
Yeah.
Then they're in a relationship now. And you never see the sexual side again, usually. And you never mention the romantic relationship. Now we're just in the relationship. Now we're a couple. How do we know
Mm-hmm.
we're a couple? Because we had wild, passionate sex 6 minutes ago. And that's how you know we connected. Now we're a couple. And I
Yeah.
think that that's kind of wrong. So, my question is, do you feel that Hollywood has any type of responsibility to say, hold on, we're moving too fast here. We can't just have these characters flip their eyes at one another and all of a sudden they're in a romantic love relationship that by the end of this film, it's going to be
Mhm.
the crucial point of does he save her on the train or does he save the school children? because after all, they spent a night together. So he's obviously with her.
Right. Movie wise, she's
So,
with her.
so what are you?
Or
I
he's
mean,
with
what are
her.
your thoughts? Should Hollywood be responsible more to say no? We can't just do this. Having two characters just be in bed together.
Do I really want to just solely blame Hollywood? I mean, I understand what media puts forth in their agendas and like what they're trying to normalize. And I think that's why a lot of kids are messed up these days and
Right.
are not in relationships, in situationships. Oh, fuck boys get money, or fuck these hoes, blah
Right.
blah. That's what all the kids are
Right.
doing now, and they're all lonely and struggling with their identity these days. But I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's solely Hollywood. I'm gonna blame what's going on in the home. Is the parent there? Is the parent present? Is the parent regulating like, hey, this is what you've seen on TV, but that's not reality. Like just because you sleep with somebody, they may not necessarily want to be in a relationship with you. And I think a lot of parents may not be comfortable enough to sit there and have that raw conversation with their adolescent.
Right.
And sometimes I feel like, especially in your home, because that's all you can do, because schools are crazy these days. You see a lot of stuff on media, especially with TikTok and Instagram, and everybody's just accessible, and kids can just tune in and see some adult person doing God knows what.
Right.
At the home, if you know that exists as an adult, and we're not as innocent as children, I feel like children are not even innocent these days, but we have an understanding of, hidden meaning behind things, or we have an understanding of the reality behind something. And it is our responsibility for the younger generation, for the little people, the children who don't know any better, to educate them. Like, okay, that's cute. You watched a Disney movie. It's supposed to be all good, whatever, sparkles and sunshine. Okay, cool. He kissed a girl. It wasn't even consensual. She was knocked out, but they're married, and that's okay. If in real life, if somebody does you like that, that is not okay. You tell somebody, like, you know what I mean? So we need to sit there and have those conversations. You should talk to your kids, be like, hey, so what do you, like, you doing me? What do you think about this? Like, is that what you want? Well, how would you do it? Okay, well, hey, remember, this is a movie.
Yeah.
You have to consider these things. And if you prepare a child for that and talk to them about it and make a space to talk about their feelings, then maybe when they go out into the real world and attempt these unrealistic things, they won't be so heartbroken or so confused. Yeah, I have a lot to say about that. I didn't expect these kind of topics. I thought you was going to ask me, how did you get into modeling, or what are some tips? But these were great. Thank you. Thank you. Nobody really asked my opinion about these things. I usually just keep it to myself. So,
Your
but
opinion matters. Absolutely. So how do we stalk you on social media? We want to follow you. We want to be fans. We want to be subscribers. We want to be likers.
yeah.
We want to sleep in the bushes outside your window. What do we need to do?
Okay, y'all cannot sleep in the bushes outside my window. That's a no. However, I do have social media. I have IG. You can follow me at @thereal_Ty_Chanelle. That's TYSHANELLE. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Snapchat, but best bet is to hit me up on IG. I'm more active on there.
And that is what's up. Hey guys, it's been the Ace Michaels Show. I'm Ace Michaels with you, live and in living color as always. You know what I say? Live the life you love the life you live. Thank you.
Thank you.